The comments and views expressed on The More Show are those of the people that make them and do not necessarily reflect the view of Kevin Moore, The More Show, or this radio station and its affiliate or sponsors. This show is for entertainment purposes only.
Broadcasting from the UK and across the world online. You're now watching The More Show and I'm your host, Kevin Moore. Now for the next hour, I'll be covering subjects that will open up your mind and provide you with information you may have never heard before. Now on today's show, I'm about to be joined with my guest, Paul Rafael. Now Paul is a spiritual guide and author, and he studied law and spent 15 years serving as a legal counsel for American corporations based in Amsterdam and Brussels. And at the age of 33, Paul's spiritual awakening profoundly transformed his state of consciousness. And in the years that followed, he gradually went through a rebirthing process. Now he began to dance with the sacredness of the human journey once again, and Paul left his corporate career behind and moved to Thailand. He started traveling the world, studying different healing modalities including yoga, acupuncture and life coaching, until he began to receive the insights of his first book, Sacred Joy. Now Paul Rafael is a true Renaissance man, a traveller by heart and currently teaches all over the world. Now Paul offers one-on-one coaching programs and online webinars. Paul Rafael, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
It's beautiful to have you on, Paul. We were having a great conversation just off air there about the nature of reality, channeling, all sorts of wonderful things, because you're into all these subjects, aren't you?
Yes, I am. I mean, it started off pretty much about, I would say, 8 years ago, when I had that sort of spiritual awakening, for lack of a better word. And it happened in a time of my life where I was working as a corporate lawyer, grinding and, keep trying to, working hard for the euros, And I was in the stage of deep loneliness. And gradually, if I look back at it, I can say that it was a state probably of deep suffering. Somehow it was a deep suffering, and there was not really any particular reasons for it, because I was making fairly good money, beautiful place in Amsterdam, really good family as well. Which was not very near to me, but which was always there, which has always been there. Very good friends as well, and yet a deep sense of loneliness. And I had previous relationships as well in my life, so I kind of knew what it was to be in a relationship, but I knew deep down inside that was not the yearning. The yearning was something way much more profound than that.
Well, that's kind of deep. That is a deep, loneliness. What were you lonely for then, do you think?
Back then I didn't know, but now the loneliness actually was a trigger. The loneliness was a trigger, as the loneliness was a portal that opened that dimension where I had to ask myself, why am I here? Why am I on Earth? Why am I on this planet? I somehow guess that, I had, at a fairly young age, back then I was 33, at a very young age, I had accomplished a lot. And I knew that, getting in a higher position, making more euros or dollars, having more of anything was not what I was craving for. And I remember that during that period of my life, one evening I asked myself, why am I here? As if I was talking to God or source or energy, and it felt really that deep sense of it was really like that deep sincerity in my heart, like, why am I here? And the answer came came later on, actually, through reading two books, especially one book called The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, which really transformed my being, transformed my consciousness, and I'm so ever grateful for the teachings contained in that book, because that's really what started for me the journey of what I like to call in my book going back home.
Wow. Okay. Sorry, you mentioned Eckhart. What was the other book?
A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle as well.
Both Eckhart Tolle. Okay. Yep.
Both Eckhart Tolle.
Well, no, that's great. That's great. I mean, they're both great books. Yeah, they make. I can imagine they made a big impact. Did you ever see the Oprah Winfrey interview with Eckhart Tolle?
I did. That was around that time, which was in 2008, sorry. And I as well, yes, just, look at all the webcasts, webinars, and it was just that I could feel this shift of energy on the planet somehow. And it was really that feeling of, oh my God, I'm finally heading back home. And the interesting thing, Kevin, is that I as well felt also even more. I believe that I felt that I felt I was actually missing home more than ever, because I knew that the situation I was in, which was, working in that corporate environment, was really not in reflection in with who I really am, with who I really was or am. I can't even use the tense was, but it was really that because finally I was honestly admitting to myself the disconnect between my true self and what was going on in my outside world, basically.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Okay, so was there any relationship during that process of asking those questions? Was you in a relationship then at all? Or?
No, I was on my own. I was single.
On your own. Okay, yeah. How do you feel about being on your own? I mean, are you on your own now?
I am, yes.
Yep. Okay, we're going to jump back and forth. Now you're in Bangkok now. I'm actually just outside Amsterdam in Almere, so I'm not far from where you used to live. Do you feel the same loneliness now, in a sense of not?
No. I mean, I can feel the solitude, but to me, the solitude is when you transmute loneliness into a higher into a higher dimension, if you will, because we all need solitude. Solitude is essential for all of us, because that's the space you create when you can truly connect to that deeper dimension of who you truly are, and you need that solitude. And I think a lot of people actually currently in our planet are suffering a lot from loneliness.
Oh yeah.
And that's because they haven't been able to connect to that dimension within themselves. And because they're suffering from the loneliness, they're looking for all sort of distraction, all sort of distortion, trying to escape that loneliness because they're afraid of it. And that's human.
That's so interesting what you're saying. We just haven't got enough time, have we? This is so unfair. But this is okay. It's okay. We can get you back on. Yeah, and when you say you're going within, I guess, and you tell me if I've got you wrong. The universe is within, and the as much as the universe, the infinite is out there as well. It's so infinite, it's out there, but it's also within us.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it is, and but all those beautiful statements are only to me of true value if they are really meaning something to your daily life.
Yes. What you're saying there, there's no right. That's a good point. Actually, what you're saying there actually is no matter what teachings are out there, no matter what teachings come from you or anyone else, it's are they applicable in the moment now? And if they're not any good, well, what's the frigging point?
Absolutely, that's it. And the message I want to share to people, whoever I'm interacting with, is to realize that first of all, life is a gift, and that's why we call the present moment or the now a present. and your job is to ask yourself, I mean, based on that principle, then you can ask yourself, but if it is a gift, then then maybe I should enjoy it.
But then why is it so painful sometimes? The gift is painful.
Right? Yeah, right. So then the question is, what, what, what could there be in your perception that makes you look at the gift as a painful one?
Well, let's
You
just
know.
go back to what.
So
Yeah, sorry. So go ahead. Go ahead.
mhm. No, go ahead. Go
Well,
ahead. Go
okay.
ahead.
Well,
Yes.
let's just go back to what you just said there. What makes the gift painful? Well, you just, that loneliness, people feeling lonely. But
Hmm.
as you just said, which was so important, which was a really big thing actually, is that solitude teaches us to go within, to teach us to connect to that state that we're looking for, to that meaning of life that we're searching for. Now, that's not come across my table too much in interviews, so thank you for that. I think that is so true. So then, if you're on your own right now, I'm on my own without any partner right now. Are we still in that phase of trying to connect and get a connect with that space?
Hmm. Yes, I mean, I feel that, once you're allowing, first of all, you need to acknowledge the loneliness, and a lot of us actually feel that is way too painful of a situation, so they will escape it. But the first step to me to truly embrace the solitude is first to acknowledge loneliness, and then when you acknowledge it, to be authentic with your true feelings, and that's when when you're opening that door, then you're by embracing and accepting the solitude, then you will realize that there in actuality there is no such a thing, because but then that's for each and every one of us to come to that conclusion themselves. I can speak about the spiritual truth over and over again, but the idea that you need to practice and feel that in your heart, feel that in your being. Now, what does that mean? That means that, can you, when you're lonely, when you really feel lonely, can you truly acknowledge and be with that loneliness? Just be with it. Don't escape it, but be with that loneliness, be with that feeling, and see how that really feels.
What if it gets
And
kind of complicated and it brings off so many other issues that we're not able to deal
well,
with?
but then yes, but then that's when you're in that space. I think that's when you're really allowing your true self to come into the picture, because that space of pure observing, that space of pure allowing, to me, is when you're gonna hear what life needs to tell you. That's when you're gonna hear, simply by creating that space. Hey, maybe you're actually not lonely. Maybe there is someone out there who's caring for you. Maybe you get the inspiration to go and do that walk in nature. Maybe to get the inspiration to maybe go and listen to something that lift up your vibration. So, but in order to do that, you need to create that space within yourself. And that's what the teaching of the power of now of Eckhart Tolle taught me, is that when you can be in that space of observing your inner state, that's when that simple observing is when you can break through, basically, that sort of, that what I call the mental narrative that tells you that you are lonely, because that's what it is. You've got that narrative within your head that tells you that you are lonely, and that's when you basically can open that space within yourself that makes you bring that dimension that is deeper within you. And that's why in my teaching, what I feel now in my life, because I was lonely, I know how it feels, I've been there. And from my own, I would say, from my own story, being born in a place where homosexuality was something very, very much condemned, I felt lonely pretty much all my life. And that loneliness was a feeling because I was not able to confine, to express to anything my true feelings, to express to anyone my true feelings. So actually, the loneliness that I felt when I was 33, that I felt very acutely in my heart, was the loneliness that I had felt all my life.
Okay, very interesting what you're saying.
Hmm.
Do you feel that the person that you would attract in your life now, you couldn't be with someone that wasn't on the same level, that wasn't in, that wasn't into spirituality or consciousness, or that you couldn't have those conversations with. Could you be with someone that was completely opposite to you?
Well, hypothetically, yes, I could. Now with that work, I truly feel that we draw to ourselves the vibration of who we are, and that's what the law of attraction is. That's what the law of attraction is. The law of attraction is basically a principle that tells you that you draw to yourself what you're vibrating of, what you're the vibration of, and to me, I definitely could spend times with someone who is not, who would not necessarily have the same outlook on life, or would have the same feelings on life. But would that be sustainable? That is a question, and I would say that in my heart, I would not necessarily want someone to have the same outlook at me, but I would certainly want to be with someone who shares the same vision that I have.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's another great way of saying it. The same vision. There's still an alignment there somewhere with the core stuff. That doesn't say that you walk around all day, talking the way we're talking right now. This is, this is for, when you're in a relationship, I'd like to express, the dumbest sides of it sometime, or, just mundane stuff, just normal stuff, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't go around chanting all the time when I'm with other people. But that's a beautiful way you've put that. Thank you. This was this was just things I'm thinking of nowadays, and conversations I've had with other people.
And you brought up a very important question, because to me, and that's why I called my book Sacred Joy, and that's why I'm speaking about joy, because in essence that's truly Kevin, in my heart, what I feel, where we come from, and I feel that the attribute. If you want to say that, who we are is pure energy, that's another way to look at it. Because one of the aha moment I had throughout my spiritual awakening is everything is energy. Everything is energy. And everything within the universe is purely a certain vibrational frequency of that energy. And that's what quantum physics is all about. That's what quantum physics is finally catching up with, and telling us that even if you look at what a so-called dense form or dense element, or table or chair or whatever, it is still vibrating energy, because it is a dance of neutrons, protons, and atoms all the time. And your perception make it look at as if it is solid, but in actuality it is moving energy.
Yes, absolutely. And we're moving on here, don't worry, but just one thing you said there was just I'm just thinking of what you said, where where the people that you attract in your life, be it on an intimate level or very close relationships, just could be work close relationships as well. They are a form of relationship. That is the energy that you are putting out there into the universe. Oh, that pinches a bit, because I'm just thinking of a few people. Wow, did I put that energy out to meet those certain people? Is that the energy I was mirroring? Okay. Possibly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. With your book as well, Sacred Joy, Remembering Who You Really Are. At what point did you write this book in your process?
My process, I wrote this book about 5 years after my awakening.
Right.
And it was, I had no idea at all I would be writing this book, to be honest with you. I was in a completely different path. Back then I was studying, acupuncture. I was studying traditional Chinese medicine. And I've always been drawn. Well, through the spiritual awakening, I was a lot drawn to healing modalities. So I studied Thai massage. I even did a yoga teacher training. I taught yoga for 2 years. And gradually, acupuncture or traditional medicine, traditional Chinese medicine, felt something very natural to me. And then through that process, actually, I realized that there was like this sort of whispering coming down to me, like, hey, maybe you need to teach. And the book is one aspect of that teachings, if you will.
Okay, we really are going to get into the book. We are talking about subjects within the books by the subjects we've discussed so far. But how did your family accept your transformation, and how have they accepted it in a sense?
Surprisingly, they've embraced it. They've embraced it, and that's one of the beauty as well of that transformation, is that it's been really a blessing, Kevin, and I and that's to me felt like a huge support as well.
Oh, I bet it has.
Yes.
I bet it has. That's so great that's the experience you've had. Okay. So, do you miss Holland? Do you miss the energy of Holland right now?
Not so much, but I need to tell that I'm originally from the island of Martinique, right, which is in Caribbean, which is different than Holland.
Oh, yes.
But I would say that Holland or Amsterdam is a very dear place to my heart, because that was a place where I kind of grew up as an adult, and I was really in that space of I would say of being able to be fully myself in whatever way, shape, or form, and I would be so ever grateful for that, because I've always was able to be myself in Amsterdam, and that has been a wonderful feeling, that I was able to shape myself, to shape my adulthood, if you will, and it is also in Amsterdam that I was able to be exposed to a lot of different spiritual teachings.
Beautiful. There is. I was saying this off air to you. There is a large spiritual community here right now, and growing as well. And I was even surprised to, have come across this as well. And it's beautiful to see. It really is. What? And again, where you are now in Bangkok, that part of Asia, and Asia in particular, it's a very inner, peaceful, spiritual place, isn't it? In a lot of respects, when you go looking for it. Yes,
absolutely. There is that element in the Thai culture where there is a sense of I would say acceptance of what is, and as well as a sense of respect of the other. And the Dalai Lama speak of those 3 R's, which are important, which is respect of yourself, respect of another, and the third, which is equally important, responsibility for your own actions. And I actually feel that there is that undercurrent element of peace in the Thai culture, which I feel very at home with. Yes.
Absolutely. And again, there's good and bad in everything, right? There is, there's yin and yang, isn't there? And there's when you look at
Absolutely. Of course, there are issues here as well as in every part of the world, And the question is, what do you feel the most drawn to, And that's also one of the questions, I love to share my teachings is, what is your highest joy? Where is your highest joy? And another way to put it is, what is essential in your life? What is essential in your life? And that's another portal that brings you back to your essence, that brings you back to what truly matters. Because I truly feel that when you can bring more and more of that practice into your life, what is essential right now in my life? What is essential? And another way to put it is, what is my highest joy? Then you'll eventually come to the element, what is simplicity? How can I remain simple? Because once you know the essence, it is very simple. This is the essence. This is what matters, and the rest you can let go. And those are, to me, the practice that that are what where we need to go back to as a species, as a human species.
So important what you say in the sense of what is your passion. When you look at the world as it is right now, there is major shifts going on right now, major shifts, and there's more to come. Yeah, as other countries go through their shifts as well, and the repercussions of that. It is really a time to go into that space of now more than ever. What is your calling? What is your joy? Because you can't change the world, but you can change yourself, and by working on yourself, it's a ripple effect to others. By looking into that aspect of, well, what would I love to do? Because that's a natural side effect, to be of service as well.
Absolutely, and in essence, they're one and the same thing. I believe that we need to stop the duality between me, or what many teachings as well taught people for eons, that if you think of yourself, you're being selfish. If you think of your desire, you're being selfish. Well, actually, this is not about the duality anymore, the polarity of good or bad. This is about how can I uplift the whole through being my true self? How can I feel that there is a connection between me and the other, and that when I am truly feeling the joy, I am as well sharing that joy with another individual. And the question is, but what is joy? What is joy? How do you define joy?
How do you?
I would say that more than anything, joy is a state of connectedness with life. Joy is a state of connectedness with who we really are. And that connectedness is always felt in the here and now. That connectedness is always a state of what I can say right now in my own spiritual awakening. It's a state of honoring life, a state of allowing life, and a state of expanding with life.
Yeah.
And those are, if you say, symbolized also by everything in our universe. When you look at the masculine, which for me is a state of honoring, what some would call the sacred masculine, I would call that sacred honoring. What honoring, and by honoring I mean honoring who you are, honoring your awareness, honoring your focus, honoring as well that honoring your joy, and that's a sacred masculine. The sacred feminine for me is allowing consciousness. Is are you acknowledging your emotions? Are you being authentic with your true desires? What you truly feel in your heart? Are you being as well, I would say, in contact with your intuitions? Because we all have that connection with our intuition, our insights. It's always there. It always is. And the third aspect is what I would call expanding consciousness, which is somehow almost you could say the child of the masculine and the feminine, and that expansion that we feel is, to me, those attributes of creativity, those attributes of curiosity, those attribute of exploring. There's all within us, and the question is always, how connected do you feel to those three principles in your life? And that's when you can go beyond duality. That's when you can move beyond the good and the bad, beyond all that sort of battle that humanity or species have been plagued for eons.
Yes, and this is all covered in your book in much greater detail as well, just even in the first few sections. With some of the services that you offer as well, let's just, before we go into the other chapters, just remind us as well, just tell us what you do offer to people as well now.
Okay, so I basically, I'm offering one-on-one sessions to people, live coaching sessions, and I'm as well doing some webinars, some seminars, and the theme of it is how to access your joy essence. It's as simple as this. How to access your joy essence, because I truly feel that more than ever, what people need to know is the need to access the tools to embody that joy, because it's easy to speak about it. It's easy to to make all those beautiful statements about it. The true to me beauty of it is to start to embody that principle, to start to practice it in your day-to-day life, and to finally reflect the world that we all want to see reflected, because clearly right now that's not a cute reflection what we're seeing.
No, it's definitely not quite that, and I think that's why this is your time now to be, as it is others, to be helping people to get into this space. It's so important. You're aligned exactly where you need to be right now to start this work and be doing this work that you're doing. Very important what you just said there as well, and by just going back to relationships or being alone as well. I know that I keep going back to that, but we started off with this, but it ties into what you've just said there. That actually, I'm going to add this: that by living, if you wanted to meet someone, or if you wanted to be in alignment to really have a relationship that's full of all the good stuff that you've now come to accept that you deserve and that you would like, well, actually maybe you'd find that opposite person if you just did what you enjoy, what your passion was. By doing your passion, it aligns you with meeting the right people and the right person.
Absolutely. And when you're truly in that joy, in that passion, of course there might be moments where, if you're alone, that is, if you're alone, of course there might be some moments where you would like, hey, wouldn't that be cool if I could share that joy with someone? Wouldn't that be fun? I mean, and that's part of being human, but when you're in that space of joy, you can embrace and accept that feeling. And see it almost as a sort of, as that sort of a little mist passing by, and that mist sometimes can make you feel a little teary. Maybe you might feel like, hey, you know what? Yes, I miss to have a mate in my life. Wouldn't that be great? But when you're in that space of joy, you truly embrace and accept that missing, and you see the beauty in it, because there is a beauty in longing for that connection. There is a beauty in wanting a mate in your life, to feel and share that connection. But because you've got that space enough in your heart, you just allow that missing, because it's just a feeling, that an emotion that will just pass, and that's, to me, that dimension when you're opening your heart, what I call allowing consciousness, and also expanding consciousness, because you expand yourself, you expand your heart by not resisting or denying the feeling, that you're missing someone, but actually allowing it to be, and there's so much joy in your heart that you can allow that feeling to be.
Yeah, and as and when you're in your zone, when you're in that vortex, as well as some others call it, you be surprised who comes to you. I've had this experience, and it continues to be this experience, that when you're doing what you love, or you're in your vortex, yes, you're walking along and you're making things happening, but also, people are coming your way. That's all I can say. So, whether it's friendship or whatever you're looking for, or just, you maybe have a partner already and you're looking to expand your spiritual circle. Trust me, just carry on, and it's amazing when it happens. Just don't always ignore the signs when it does happen. That's all I'm saying.
And once I was reading, that one of the spiritual books, and a statement that really kept, to me, like, it's like sometimes when you reread those teachings, or whenever you hear a song as well, sometimes for whatever reason, it gets highlighted. It's like it just hit a chord within you. And that statement was, whoever needs to be brought on your path will. Trust life. Trust that whoever needs to be brought on your path will be brought on your path. Whatever needs to be brought to your awareness will. if and but if and only will, and as you rightfully mentioned, you need to be also open for that sign, right?
Yeah, don't switch your radar completely off. I'm guilty of that. I've said that in previous interviews where I've said, oh, I'm just going to go with the flow and whatever. And then you realize, oh, hang on a minute. I think I switched that radar off a little bit. Might just have to just put that back on just a little bit. Yeah.
Absolutely, yes. That's what I call awareness. To how do you honor your focus? How do you honor your discernment? And it's a dance. It's a dance, Kevin. And it's but in order for you to have that radar on, you also need to allow the signs, right, to be sent to you. And if you're completely stuck in that sort of cave or in that sort of loneliness, or if you keep escaping that loneliness, you're actually running away from yourself. That's all you do.
Yeah, I mean, I was escaping it recently. I mean, I was probably smoking too much weed in the nighttime. I would probably say, if I'm going to be completely transparent,
Okay.
I was smoking only after 8 o'clock most nights, right? So it wasn't some kind of lazy ass stoner in the daytime, right? But I would smoke in the nights every night, and I was probably numbing out any feelings that I had of that. So what I've done, I've just cut it right down. And
Okay.
I've had to accept those feelings, and it's or whatever comes, and not block it off. So I think we can find a myriad of ways to block it off. Sometimes that's my point.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Absolutely.
hands up, I'm just as guilty sometimes, but I'm working on it.
Yeah.
I like what you say as well about you mentioned the word dance there, and you say in your book as well, dancing through life's adventure. I mean, there's loads of chapters on that. We're not going to get a chance to get through all that, but it is a dance, isn't it? As you say in your work and your book.
Yes. To me, the analogy of the dance is probably what could explain the closest, who we are, and as well as the principle of energy, and because one of the insights, I keep getting, over and over is that, in essence, as I think as we grow spiritually, we realize that there is nowhere to go, there is nowhere to get, because everything is energy is. So the best I could explain that analogy to someone is that it's almost as if, there is, when you're dancing, you don't want to go anywhere. You don't want to achieve anything. You don't want to, demonstrate anything. You simply want to enjoy the dance. You simply want to enjoy the dance. What is the goal? Well, to enjoy the dance. Do you need to explain that? Do you need to explain the dance to someone? Do we need to demonstrate the dance to someone? And that's where we got caught mentally, because that's what we're trying to do over and over again with our mind. We're trying to explain something, whereas your heart doesn't need any explanation. Your heart just wants to feel the joy.
That's so powerful. Yeah. That's so powerful. And when you do enter that energy of the dance with life, I mentioned to you before about how your family has reacted. I never asked you about your friends neither, and I think that's the hard part for some people that are having this spiritual awakening on their own solitude, with a family that does accept in some respects, much like yours. So that's very beautiful, but with friends that don't, because I think when you do the dance, I think it creates a little bit of jealousy sometimes, only because they see you as being outside the norm. They see you as being, living a life that they could never have. They would have had to go against fear to do something like that.
Absolutely. But with regards to my family, I need to specify that it wasn't always the case. It was a process, right? I mean, at first, right. I had to hide basically, my spiritual awakening for many years before I eventually, came out of the closet. But this time that was my spiritual closet.
Yeah.
But But with regards to to the friends, I mean, in essence, yes, we are really shifting a huge paradigm, Kevin, and for many thousands of years, humans were taught that that joy was sinful, that you were not to, life had to be hard, life had to be a struggle, and that's the very reason why some teachings would tell us and still do that we are born of sin. I mean, how do you reconcile sin with joy? Um,
Yeah.
how, that's a huge one. That's a huge stretch for many. And um, even though it is written very clearly that I mean, the meek shall inherit the kingdom of heaven. It is very clearly written that you need to have childlike qualities in order to enter my kingdom. So there are many pointers there. So in essence, to me, there is really that part when you start to embody that joy. Of course, you will disturb a lot of people around, including your friends, because it is uncompromising on many levels, and which is as well the simplicity. When you truly know what your joy is, then you will realize how much conditioning there is around you to prevent you from feeling that joy.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I can, and as a gay man as well, not only, that must have been your first point to, to really go into your feelings and trust your feelings and just to know this is your truth. And so you're what I'm kind of saying, you'd already gone through that process a little bit with coming out as well. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I think everything that we.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Everything we've mentioned about relationships in this interview as well, it doesn't, to me, I mean, I've got lots of gay friends, and I know what some of their relationships have been like and what they've gone through, and I don't think, being gay or straight, it's just as bloody difficult, right? There's no easy way out through this, yeah? So you can embrace your teachings in either way, and it's, don't think it's been an easier ride for you in a sense, do you know what I mean? Yeah, absolutely. So you've been
yes, and in my book, to me, I explain that there's really that phase of what and that's why I love the analogy of the peeling of the onions. That the Hindu use, is that it's a beautiful analogy, because that's truly how it feels. That once you start inquiring, what is my highest joy, that's when you will start also asking yourself, what is my biggest pain? What is my biggest suffering? And you will basically, then that's when you will realize that pain, that suffering actually are all those layers that you're peeling, in order to realize that once you peel off all those layers, there's pure joy there. There is pure joy. But I can say this to millions of people, but they need to practice that they need to be ready to practice that for themselves and to embody that for themselves. And that's what I invite anyone in my teachings. Don't believe what I say. Practice. Ask yourself the question: what is my highest joy? Where is my highest joy? Where is it? And ask it, and the answer is there, but you need to ask it. And when you go through that process, that's also when you will realize the conditioning there is, and you need to peel off those layers, because there's going to be a lot of layers.
So much conditioning. That's so true. So true. And as you say there as well, you want people to become their own teachers. You don't want them just to look up to you and say, oh, well, he's got the truth that I was always looking for. The truth is always within you. You're just awakening that truth to them.
That's exactly it. And that's why I feel that, we're going to have many more, I think we're going to have different generation of healers, if you will. And because, to me, and some I don't like so much the word healer, but for lack of a better word, to me, what healer means simply to make whole again. That's all it means. That's what the word healer means. And the pointer of the truth, or the pointer of the wisdom, if you will, is simply there to remind you that wisdom is within you. all you need to do is to inquire and go on that journey, and that's why, to me, that's why we're all here for. And all of us are unique. We all have that uniqueness. And what people are craving for on the ego-based consciousness is for the world, society, someone to tell you, yes, darling, you are unique. Who you are is beautiful. Who you are is precious. But if we don't, if you don't feel that truth within yourself, you'll be that slave, of that recognition, that validation, and that's what I express in my book on so many levels, is that what many people believe is love, or what they look for in a relationship, is that they're actually looking for that. They're on that state of neediness. Like, tell me that I exist. Tell me that I matter. Tell me that who I am is of importance to you.
What would you say is an important message that that's with you right now, in a sense, or that you're seeing as a vibe out there, in a sense?
I would say to wake up. I would say that people need to wake up. We all need to wake up. We need to finally to come back to what truly being human is all about. And some say that the word human is composed of the prefix hu, which means light, and man, which means form. And somehow I feel that, and then you have the being part. So you could say that there is those three parts: the you, the light, the man, the physicality, if you will, your body, and then the being part. So I feel that we are really in our threshold where we are being asked to truly embody what that means. And somehow, until now, we've only been, exploring the physicality, the man part. And now we're finally being asked to expand and to embody as well, that light essence, if you will, which for me is joy, and to dance with it, and to not escape your humanness, which is what some teachings before, tried
so
to.
True. Yep.
To impart on people, but to dance with it, to dance with the energy that we are, and to move beyond that duality, because it's not about the body and the spirit, and the mind. It's about the body and the spirit and the mind. It's the dance of those three aspects. And when you are truly dancing with those three aspects, which are all complementary to one another, all you feel is joy.
Yeah, it's so. That's a very important point to make as well, as you just said. Not to ignore the human experience, because that can happen. I've seen it happen with a lot of people, and it's like, well, what's the point of being here? You came to have a human experience. You're missing the whole point in some respects.
That's exactly it. And once you dance with it, you're still in that part where you don't lose yourself in it, because that can be as well, the other part. But when you truly, and that's why, to me, the expression, the word joy, can express this so much, is because in that joy you still have that element of presence, that element of center within you. When you truly feel that you are, experiencing that joy. And now we're in a stage where, it is not about denying, resisting your humanness, because it will keep haunting you over and over again.
Yeah, that's so true. And we just didn't come here to. I take very little notice of people that say to me, "Oh, what you're doing there is not very spiritual," or "That's not." Well, I know everything's an aspect of it.
Everything is spiritual, Kevin. There is not, because again, if you go back to the analogy that everything is energy and who we are is pure energy, then everything is spiritual. There's not one thing which is not spiritual. Right. Everything is. Right. Everything is spiritual. Every single experience you're having is spiritual. The question is, what is your perception of it, which is another way to say, what is your awareness of it?
Do you find that a lot of people that come to see you, in the sense of coming for to find their passion, maybe they've come to you because they feel drawn to you to have this mentoring, do you feel a lot of people need healing with past wounds and stuff before they can get to that point of finding their passion?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it is an essential, process of it, that deconditioning, because it's so embedded, in our psyche. And on so many levels, I feel that what need to be shared with humanity is that you can grow, expand, and learn with joy, through joy. That you don't have to go through that suffering. You don't have to go through that hurting. You don't have to go through that struggling anymore. And as I mentioned earlier, the example of missing that partner in your life is again, that analogy that yes, the missing is there, yes, the longing is there, but you also realize that missing is beautiful. It means that you're human. It means that you have that sensibility in your heart that you want to share the journey of another human being. What is not beautiful about that?
Well, maybe it also means you're ready to love again.
That's
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think it means a lot when you get to that point. I think it means more positive, as you say, than it means anything negative. I think it just,
absolutely. You transmute, yes, and that's what the art of alchemy is. You're transmuting lead into gold, and you're transmuting, all of your struggles, or what you would call, or what you would see as painful, actually as a door, as an opportunity to expand your consciousness, to expand your heart.
And do you?
There's no way to put it.
Absolutely. And do you find that? Well, this is my truth. That now, as I said at the beginning of this interview, now's the most important time to get into that deeper communion with your passion, and yeah, maybe I just want to end this on that. We may not all like the world that we're living in right now in one sense, but we have to in another. We have to see the good in everything, and that my main point here, I suppose, is what's going on outside in the world right now does not affect you from stopping living your passion. Yeah. So no matter, governments aren't in charge of you. That's what I'm kind of saying. You are in charge of your life. You're in charge of your destiny, and law of attraction will work for you right now as well.
Absolutely. And the message again is that no one can force you to feel joy. No one can fake their joy. No one can be taught what joy is. Only your heart. Only you know in your heart what makes you tick and what makes you feel that passion, that aliveness. But the question is, do you ask yourself the question? Did you ever ask yourself the question, what is my highest joy? What is my highest joy? What would make myself really feel alive? Would make me feel in my heart that I've got so much fulfillment in my heart right now that it doesn't matter what would happen tomorrow. It does not matter what would happen, because that fulfillment is there, it's right there. And to me, that's really where we need to start, and how we can transform this planet, because for so many eons, we've been struggling and we've been fighting, and we know so much how to deal with that. Humans beings are the greatest impersonator when it comes to fight with life. We struggle with life, and to keep fighting and go grinding. We know that. So how about asking maybe yourself that question, hey, how would that feel to explore this journey through joy?
Yeah.
That's what I would love to anyone to ask themselves that question. Yes.
And whoever's watching this, there is no age limit on this neither. This is not for the young, this is not for the old, this is for everyone, no matter what age you are.
Absolutely. It's and funnily enough, people tell themselves, I'm going to wait when I'm retired, or I'm going to wait, when this or this and that will happen, to finally ask myself the question, And that's a tragedy. That's a tragedy because the truth of it is that many human beings live as if they are going to be here for eternity, whereas we're only here for a moment. We're only here for a moment.
Now that's a very powerful statement. That is so true. We do live, and I do the same, as though we've got an eternity here. And as you say, you have glimpses sometimes as you get a bit older. Even as a younger person, you can have these glimpses as well, of course. I'm not saying that it doesn't last forever, and that it is quick.
It is, and there's so many people around, that have, even with a certain age, they keep asking themselves, when am I going to start to truly live? When am I going to start to truly live? And one question, or let's say, one of the is that a question, or at least one of the statement that Steve Jobs made, is that he would ask people, or he would take decision, in his life as if it would be his last, or as if he would ask himself, if that would be my last day, would I be taking that decision? Would I be making that decision? And what the twist that I would like to bring in this equation is, if I would ask myself, would that decision be in favor of my highest joy? Would I take that decision? And for me, by joy, to use another analogy, is to say, how clear, how at peace, and how smiling I would feel, by making that decision. And those are those three aspects, that I evoked earlier. And there's always that element, again, of dance, and the world will, once you will start asking yourself the question, of course, the world will test you. The world will test you over and over again, like. And that's when you're going to have to remember that it's a dance. And that's when you're going to have to remember your playfulness, your humor. That's when you're going to have to not take your mind too seriously, because that mind will try to drive you crazy.
Well, you've left the most powerful. I mean, everything was fantastic in this interview, don't get me wrong, but that was really powerful what you've said there. So I'm sure that will take a bit of rewinding and just going back over that last bit. Thank you for what you just added there. So important. And Paul, your website, just finally?
Yes, my website is www.paulrafael.com. Rafael as in, so Paul, RAFAEL.com.
Okay. Well, we've been putting the website and your book on the screen. Your book's available from all good bookstores, including Amazon's, Barnes & Noble's, and such good bookstores. Paul, Rafael, I would just like to say thank you for today's interview. That was very enlightening. So it was a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you for having me, Kevin. It was a pleasure.
Well, we've come to an end on tonight's show. Don't forget that you can listen and watch all our past interviews on The More Show's official YouTube channel. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel for new daily shows. You may also find out more on our past and upcoming guests on the show via themoreshow.com, and do like us on Facebook and Twitter for the latest updates. So until next time, be safe.